Welcome to the podcast for the people. I'm here with Kate Poldraski, and before we talk about anything else, and I don't even think that you know how important this is. I need to thank you for getting me at One Yoga.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
I'm so glad you love it.
It's fucking awesome. Like, I talk about it on this anytime, and anybody who's listened to it, like, I'm sorry I'm bringing it up again. But I'm in yoga teacher training. Yeah. It's like when you become a vegan for the first time.
Yes,
or you start
CrossFit. You start CrossFit, like, everyone's got to know.
Everybody's got to know.
You check in every day.
Casey, I do CrossFit or whatever it is.
Vegan.
And
Stopped eating meat about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, no, but thank you very much because... Dude, honestly, it's one of those things where, and you told this to me before, like, what's great about this teacher training, this One Yoga specifically, is you do the postures and stuff, and you do, like, anatomy and physiology and all that kind of, not bullshit, but all that kind of bullshit.
Kind of extra bullshit,
yeah,
right?
kind of like that kind of stuff. But they dive so much into the personal growth aspect of everything that it's like... Dude, it's mind-blowing to me. Right. And I'm doing one weekend a month. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing every week. So it's like, it sucks in a way because I just want more.
Right.
But it's cool
it's
in a way.
so much in one weekend.
It's so much in one weekend.
Like, it's so inclusive of everything you wanted to learn, too.
Yeah. So I just need time to digest all of it.
Yeah, and I think that you remember, too, when I was in once a week, and I was... physically and mentally drained. I felt like I had just worked out 3 times that day, did several yoga things that day as well, and like I was exhausted. Yeah. And it was just talking about your life.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You don't even really do anything physical. You
talk too.
Yeah.
You could just listen to other people and like through the whole entire time your brain's just going and going and you're just you're exhausted at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's draining.
Yeah.
Personal growth is draining. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so it's hard to get motivated to
people shy
figure
away from
out
it, right?
what you don't like about yourself or something like that.
And who wants to call themselves out on their own bullshit
exactly.
or like why they are the way they are? Like no one wants to think, that girl that called me fat in the 3rd grade is the reason why I don't eat correctly now, but it happens.
Dude, it's so crazy you say it because literally I just had training this past weekend.
Right.
And we're talking about samskaras. Mm-hmm. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically things you're holding on to from your past that might ail you in the future is like a fair way to say it, right? Yeah. So we were talking about people, like what holds you back or like what do you need to let go of essentially. And I wrote that in my journal, like we had career day in 6th grade and it's so freaking random, but I'll never forget this fat fucking guy. This guy sucked and I don't know who he is or where he works, but if you're out there, dude, like this is to you. You know what I mean? Because I'm in 6th grade. I'm at career day, and I love football. Like, I love playing football. Right. And this guy's like, oh, what do you guys want to do when you grow up? The typical question. And I raised my hand, and I was like, I'm going to play in the NFL. And I was like, all in, dude. Right. And this guy looked at me, and he's like, well, you probably won't, so think of something else. And I just stared at him. And that was like the first time that I ever been told like, no, you probably can't do that.
And it's like the worst thing ever.
Motherfucker, what did you do? What?
And let me guess, like now that it's probably caught up to you in some areas of your life where like you shied away from just jumping because somebody has been like, hold on, wait. Yeah. Let's look at X, Y, and Z reasons of what's going to happen or could happen. And you're like, okay, you're right. Yeah. And you step back. But then sometimes you're like, well, actually, those things might have never happened. I could have gone for this shit 2 years ago. Yeah. Right?
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
I think about this guy almost daily. Like, I just picture his, like, gray hair, his fat belly, and he was, like, a personal trainer. I'm like, dude, what are you...
You're like, who are you training?
Who are you, man? Right? Who are you? Oh, but it killed me. But, like we were saying, like, that one instance in the 6th grade that happened literally over a span of maybe 15 seconds, I'll never forget it.
Right. It's in there.
I'll never forget it.
That's the definition of samskara. It's there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll never forget that. And it's something that I think about, and I still think about where I would love to go back to that guy and just be like, obviously I'd never actually played in the NFL. Right. You know what I mean? Like, life happened or whatever. But... oh man, how much I would have loved to just throw it in that guy's face.
The fuel in your fire would have been if that guy was like, okay, after today, let's sit down and talk about what exactly you could work on,
Yeah.
so you could actually be in the NFL.
Right.
Like, imagine if somebody just took you under their wing and was
If it
like,
went the other way.
yeah, I know this guy and he's going to train you, and
Right.
like, imagine what could have happened.
How crazy is that?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the one friend that you could tell them, like, anything, like, I want to run for president, and they could just totally root you on. And there's the one friend that's like,
yeah, have fun with that.
Have fun.
You're probably not going to be president, but whatever. Yeah. It's just people like that and those little things. And like, I think about that, and I'll try to be more conscious in my own life of who's telling me what, and what are they actually saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had this young guy that I used to train, and I actually haven't seen him in a little bit, but he really, like, die hard wants to play college baseball.
Right.
And like, he would come to me with this, and he's a legitimate baseball player.
Right.
He's got some game.
He's not
dude.
this, like,
Yeah. And like, that moment flashed into my eyes, and I was like, all right, what do you know about baseball? And I was like, well, literally nothing, because I had never played baseball. But I was like, you know, don't be that guy. Don't be that career day asshole. Like, how can you help this kid to improve what he wants to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's like what you're saying. Like, just imagine if you have, like, you know, everybody has a conversation. You have one, like, seemingly meaningless conversation in your day. It's actually going to carry more weight than so many other things. So just consciously talking to the positive on things with people is huge. Imagine every conversation that you have during the day, where it could go.
Right.
What connection could be made.
Right. You just never know.
You never know.
You never know. And somebody's personal development can take them to that next notch.
Totally.
Like, I think of all the times that with, like, volleyball in high school too, like, it was never in my brain that, like, or verbally came out of my mouth that I wanted to be this really good volleyball player and, like, play all through college. But, like, deep down in my heart, like, that's all I thought about. Mm-hmm. But because I was surrounded by people that just kind of took it as this little sport, and I never had, like, the right coach just, like, supported me and said, like, you know, you're going to work on X, Y, and Z, and you've got to work on this mentally. You know, like, I never took the mental stuff seriously. Mm-hmm. But, like, me and, like, eating and the extra fitness and, like, daily discipline was, like, all I needed to be more successful in all areas, you know?
If only you have someone who can do that. Right. You know what I mean? Show you that.
Right.
That's what I'm trying. I try to be more aware of that now. And, like, there's obviously some days where I'm just in a funk. Mm-hmm. You know,
totally. It's all fuzzy.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to help anybody, or you know, this or that. But it's just those little conversations, I think, are important, man.
Right. I totally understand.
Do you have any, like, any sim scars that you're holding on to?
Yeah, I've had
hit one.
I mean, one yoga was like, you just, like, hated it going there, but, like, at the end of the day, you were like, like, I'm so happy I showed up. Because it's, like,
scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Susan ever has shared with you, but there was, like, I think 3 weeks in a row this one time where I totally boycotted one yoga. Like, I didn't show up for 3 weeks in a row.
Really?
Every single morning, I tried. Like, in the morning, I got myself up, I ate my breakfast, had my coffee, packed my stuff, and I would sit in the car some days in that parking lot and turn around and go home.
How come?
I thought about how much work I didn't feel like doing on myself that day, and was like, you know, I started to, like, adapt. I was like, you know, maybe the work that I could do on myself today is just to go home and not think so much.
You kind of trick
right?
yourself.
Like, you kind of trick yourself that, like, hey, like, not doing anything today is going to reset me for tomorrow, right? And it's like the same thing with, like, eating and working out, right? Like, people are like, maybe today, since I've been working all week and haven't been working out, I'm just going to lay in bed, I can relax today, and if I do that all day long, if I stay sedentary and relax, I'll be better tomorrow. I'll wake up, I'll work out at 5 a.m., everything will just pan out for the next week. Mm-hmm. So I skipped for 3 weeks because we brought up the conversation of college. And I've always had this huge samskara with moms, right? Uh-huh. Love my mom. Are we best friends? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. But it's because we're a lot alike, right? Like, we're a lot alike. And we just have two completely different, just, like, years that we've grown up in, right? Like, I'm the full definition of a millennial. Like, my job is social media, selling athletic wear, and just connecting with people and teaching yoga. Like, That's my job.
That's millennial.
Right? It's millennial shit.
That is like super.
It's so millennial. I like most of my work is on my phone or a tablet, like behind a camera.
Awesome.
I mean,
awesome.
I'm such a millennial, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing when my mom was younger. So, of course, I had this samskara of moms going into yoga teacher training, and I always wanted to avoid it. Like, I was like, I don't have anything against moms. Like, it's just me and my mom. Like, that's it, right? I found out my group for one yoga, and it was me and my best friend that's my same age, and the rest were moms. All different kinds of moms with...
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Most of them having daughters that they either are best friends with or don't get along with. And I think it was 2 of them or 3 of them were nurses, and my mom's a nurse.
How perfect.
So I was kind of pissed. Like, I was like, why couldn't I be in the group with like a couple of hippie girls and this really cool guy that gets into handstands? Like, why couldn't that be my dream life?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I was supposed to be in this group.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of my samskaras that came up was when people would talk about how their daughters, want to take a year off from college and it bothered them so much, right? And I would just be lit up because I spent almost 3 years in college working towards a nursing degree, working in the hospital, working with one-on-one with psych patients, and essentially working with my mom at the hospital. And I was doing what I loved, which was helping people. But what I didn't love was the stress, the depression, everything that went along with being a nurse, right? And I strongly disagreed with some of the moms, and I think that what it came back to was like, there's conversations that I'm not having at home. We avoided the conversation of, are you ever going back to school?
Yeah.
Avoided the conversations of, what is the real reason why you stopped doing nursing school?
So you went for 3 years and then you just left?
Yeah, I was doing yoga because I started to get depressed working with all these psych patients, and in the middle of like doing all my fitness stuff, which I always was accountable for, I started yoga, hated it, but I did it, and I started to just find out that like, wow, everything that I'm starting to change in a couple weeks here throughout doing yoga, I really want to bring to psych patients. Like, they should be doing this.
Yeah.
They should not be taking most of these medications, in my own opinion. Of course, some may help. I don't really like to go there, but I think that there's a huge benefit to everybody for doing yoga, but especially mental health. And I just one day had this patient, and we're sitting there, and the way that he was describing how he felt on his medication versus without, whether he was lying or not, I was like, you need to try yoga. And we had this whole conversation about it, and we did a couple things in the room. Like, he started doing some yoga, and I just realized, like, I don't even know how to teach yoga, but I know that I want to go do it. Whether it's in a prison, psych patients, I really want to do this.
Yeah. Are you doing it? You're still doing it in the prison now?
I'm still doing it at the prison. So I really love that. I'm doing it kind of seldom now with like life getting so busy, but they're my favorite group ever.
How cool is that?
I mean, it's awesome. Some of them,
because they appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They appreciate
it, and I think what they get out of it isn't like, sometimes in studios you'll have the occasional person be like, how do my shoulders look in down dog? Like, they get kind of posture obsessed and pose obsessed. And it's kind of like, drop your head, get to work inside. Yeah. Right? The work is inside.
Yep. The posture will be the posture.
Is going to be the posture, and it's going to grow on its own. What's the reason behind it? But yeah, all the mental stuff is what's going to get you there. And I've watched some of the girls when we first had them, they sat in the corner. They didn't even participate. It became social hour for them. Like, and I think anybody that knows me, I'm very assertive, and I kind of don't take any bullshit. So I had like 3 people doing the yoga postures. Some of them in the back, like total social hour, just talking. Yeah. And I looked at them and I said, if this is going to be your social hour, I'd like it if you go back inside. I can call the guard. Woo. And we're talking, there's a couple massive girls that have, either it's stealing something, drugs. I mean,
well, you're in a prison. You're in a prison,
right? Like, and there's no guard out there with me while we're doing yoga.
Oh, really?
No guard is standing with us. And I'm looking at this girl while we're in a basketball court with all this barbed wire, and I'm like, basically get in or get the fuck out.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Right. And she looks at me and she's like, okay. And she like just sits there quietly. And I was like, you're more than welcome to hop in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, but you just can't speak.
Good for you.
And some of them laughed, some of them, you know, just kept doing it. And now she is the one that shows up every single time.
Really?
Yeah. So
kind of flipped a switch for it.
It's flipped a switch. And I think that what she's taken from it, as far as I'm concerned, that she's kind of picked my brain about, is the journaling. So I ask them like one question at the end of every session, whether it's like, hey, whatever you felt, whether it was tension in your shoulders, like ask yourself what weight of the world you've been holding on to, you know, and go write about it. Like whether it's been the fact that you haven't called a significant other back while you've been here, or you haven't really addressed that there's a big part of the reason that why you're here is because of you and not because of somebody else. And I think that, yeah, it's been awesome to watch her go there. And going back to the mom thing, it's like my mom and I still don't have active conversations about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And that goes back to me, right? It's easy for me to just open my mouth and just go for it because I'm in practice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When you're in the practice, you better get to work and spread that practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not so easy, right? It's not so easy battling some scars at all.
Not even close.
No.
I think there's a couple things that you said that are good. The first one is just doing yoga or exercise in general. It has to be a part of anybody's personal growth.
Right.
It has to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, with yoga, you're doing a posture. You're in down dog.
Right.
It can look however it looks, but what does it feel like while you're in there? Where are you tight, like you said, in your shoulders? Okay, well, you're probably like bearing somebody else's issues that you don't have to. Yeah, and that's what's great about yoga is it puts the connection there between mind and body, physical and mental states.
Things that most people probably don't even think about. And I mean, it goes back to CrossFit too, right? Like
any exercise.
I can be easily defeated in CrossFit because I don't do well with once I take it inside. Like some people don't even see the inside outside yet, which is great. I'm sometimes jealous now that they haven't crossed over the side of looking like inward, right? Yeah. But there's times where I'll be just doing pull-ups and I see somebody going on to the next round just whipping past me and I'm like, what the hell?
Damn it.
Like this is all me. Like,
yeah.
I suck at this,
Damn.
you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, now I'm thinking these things, now I'm in yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. I think just the benefits of exercise while you're like I do a CrossFit class at a rehab and those people, do they appreciate it more than not anyone. To say anybody else doesn't, but they just you can just tell just it's by talking to them.
Different level of appreciation
every
when
time
people don't feel like they deserve something and they're getting it.
Every class, even if it's like a whatever class and it, you know, I'm there and I'm just kind of going through the motions, I'm having a bland day, they'll come up and dude, that was the best class. Thank you so much for coming. You know, this is what I look forward to every week doing this CrossFit class. Right? And I'm like, fuck, yes, I care now. You know what I mean? I care so much because they do it. It's awesome. Yeah. And there's so much value to that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, like, the other thing that you were saying, you know, looking inward is definitely the harder path of doing things. Because we'll realize that a lot of what's happening in our life it's not happening to us, it's happening because of us.
Right. And who wants to admit
that you're wrong?
Anything is their fault.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's natural. And like it's not to say anybody's wrong for being like, well, I did that because you did this. It's like, okay, that's fair. But notice that you're being reactive, right?
Yeah.
And like, let's each address each other and what we're doing, but because of ourselves, you always have to go back to why I did something. You know, you can't control why Sally raised her voice and accused you of something, but you can sure as hell control if you're going to react back and yell and, or if you're going to just, you know, look a little bit deeper.
That's something that I'm working on. I'm trying.
What's your fault?
Oh, I'll go nuts. Well, you know, dude. We've talked about this.
We've talked about this.
Dude,
You're like the
I
fire
talked about
that
this
just
before too, dude. I just go nuts, man. Because for me, I'll I'll very often in a stressful times, things become very black and white. I don't live in a gray world.
Right.
It's either yes or no. It's one or two. It's A or B.
Everything's binary.
Yeah. And if it doesn't go that way, which a lot of times it doesn't, there's always gray area with an argument with like a girlfriend or a friend or whatever it is.
Right.
Like I'm either it's going to be solved or it's not going to be solved. And if it doesn't get solved, then I'm just going to impose my will on you until you, until you give in.
Absolute monster.
Yeah. Oh, dude, just like hulking out, man. And it's like crazy. And I'm like, I know that I do it.
Yeah.
And I'm working on not doing it and being more conscientious and more understanding of things. And it's just like we did this one exercise in yoga teacher training, and it was I think it was just like a little check-in exercise.
Yeah.
And it was
what
like,
did you guys do?
It was what was it? No, you know what it was? It was a question about journaling, and I can't remember what the question was. It was like it was something. It was just like a general question. You know, what did you learn during your journaling? Type of thing. You know, what types of themes? It might hit me in a minute, but I'll just continue the story. We're sitting there and everybody goes through and kind of like, you know, everybody in my group is very calm. Everybody has very, you know, very unique and very intense things that they're working on. Right. But they're very, like, very easygoing about it all, and I'm not that way. Mm-hmm. So the one day, they were like, oh, you know, what's going on, and this or that. And everyone kind of said their answer, and everybody was calm. And like, that doesn't take away from how legit anybody else's answer was or whatever. Totally. But for me, I was like, it was my turn. I just started yelling. I was like, I'm fucking angry. Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. I was like going nuts, man. And like, dude, it was to the point where I just couldn't hold it in. It's such a great environment that it allows you to do that. It's like the biggest
safe zone. Like,
it
you're
is a safe
essentially
zone.
With strangers.
Yeah, I never would have done this if I didn't feel comfortable with the people that I was with. And that's the other great part of it. But I was like cussing, and I was like, I'm fucking angry, and like I just want to run through a wall. Like I was just, you know what I mean? Because that's how it kind of came about. One of the things that I'm practicing is like feeling emotion, you know? And so I was telling them about this one day I woke up and I was just pissed. Right. Like I was just I was super angry. And I've actually talked about it on this before too. But I was just super angry, and I was like my whole day was angry. Like everything sucked. I was pissed. Like I didn't want to do anything, you know? And just every wall that I just pictured myself running through like walls and throwing weight and like all this kind of stuff. And so I was just like going off on it in the middle of this yoga class, and everybody's all calm, and like we just finished a practice, so everybody's really relaxed. Everybody's in a tranquil state and hang out. And even after this hour-long practice, I'm just still like, oh, like going nuts, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna throw you across the room.
Just can't like, you know, let go of any of this energy. So I'm not even sure why I started telling that story, but I guess the point is like, that's what it is. It's so hard for me to admit that.
Yeah. It's like, it's hard to just be like, actually, I'm watching this person across from you be so calm. Yeah. Talking about what pissed them off.
Like, everybody's so cool, and I'm just like this fucking animal.
Yeah, and you're like, so do I just be calm? Or do I, like, ask myself, like, what the fuck do I need to work on? Yeah. Because most people won't.
Most people won't.
Like, most people won't even go into, like, what are my steps of, like...
Yeah.
Toning this down. And for you, it's like sitting in emotion and feeling it until you can't take it, because it's eventually going to help you.
Right. And I am getting much better at it, and that's why I think it's important that I'm doing this, because I am realizing that the only person getting me so frustrated or angry or anything is myself. Mm-hmm. You know, and like shit's gonna happen. That's just how the world works. Things are gonna happen that you can't control. You know, but how you meet those things that you can't control is going to affect the outcome when you're involved. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's one of the things too that I'm learning is, you know, we're so outcome driven as a society, or just in anything. Everything's outcome driven. You know, what's the result? What are we going to get? How much money are you going to make from this? What's the best deal? What's this or that? Right. When you stop worrying about the outcomes and just worry about the right now, the process, what you're trying to do, what's the purpose behind it, the outcomes will take care of themselves.
Oh my gosh. And even better than it would have if you picked out the perfect plan.
Right. And sometimes the best outcome isn't the one that puts you in the green. This is the other thing that I'm learning, is when you have an outcome, that's what was supposed to happen. Whether it's a bad thing or a good thing. And this feels very passive way of doing things, but it's such a great practice to do, because whether you quit your job because you thought you had this other one lined up and then it fell through and now you have no job, or you get this other promotion that makes you a $50,000 raise or whatever it is, you're going to be put into a situation that you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that, my boyfriend Max and I were talking the other day about kind of just this stuff in general, is like, being a good person is so scoffed at, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I'm a good person. Like, what does that even mean? Most of us probably have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's like that quote about, you treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO. Mm-hmm. That line just carries through, where if you're going up to every person, you're intentionally speaking to them, you're listening, you're sitting up straight, you're hanging out, like, you never realize that person could come back around to you in 5 months and give you some opportunity.
Yeah. Totally.
And like, we're very much this way, I feel like, because we catch up very seldom. When we do, it's always about something. We're like, hey, why don't we do this? Let's brainstorm with this. Yeah. And like, I think that we would have never been that way if we didn't have as many intentional conversations.
Yeah. That's what we were saying before this.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I feel like we, anytime we talk, there's something that comes out of it.
Always just like, it's like this big,
like bullshit.
Damn. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, oh my God.
It's like a revelation.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Like, I get it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So funny.
I love it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but it's true. Do you ever get tired though?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's emotionally draining. I think that the hard thing that I now have had since yoga teacher training is, I think that sometimes I'm so aware that I try to go back into, like, I want to be working out every day because that's a big emotional release for me. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to feeling, when I feel better, I look better, and when I look better, I feel better. I'm one of those people that when my aesthetic's on point, I feel so much better.
Isn't that Randy Moss? He's like, you gotta look good to play good, man.
Look good to play good.
Randy Moss.
Yeah. And some people aren't that way, and that's fine. I think that since yoga teacher training, I've like kept trying to hop back into that like meal prep and working out every day that I was used to before yoga teacher training. But some days, because of the personal work that I do and the personal work that I help others with, my body is actually like, slow the fuck down. You don't have the emotional energy to do a hot vinyasa workout, cardio, and some more weights or core work today. Like, your body wants you to do one restorative yoga class and hit the sheets. And I think that once you start doing personal work and helping others, you're more exhausted than
it's a lot.
Feel like you're doing physical work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like what you're saying, a lot of times, and I think you're the same way too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I will take somebody's problem and I'll make it my own, because I'm very protective. That if somebody's feeling a certain way, I'm like, all right, your boyfriend cheated on you. And I'm like, well, I'm not your boyfriend. I'm not, it's totally separate, but I'll take care of it.
Yep.
Like
I take things head on.
I love playing almost like that hero role, or that protective
There's
role.
There's something about like running
absorb.
Through the finish line with a torch in your hand, there goes Katie, like there she is, she won. Like, there's something about that moment going through your head all the time when somebody has a problem. Yeah. Like, you came through for that person. There's something about that. I think go to a fault.
Totally. That's what I was going to say. It comes from a good place. And for me, it comes from a place of, I genuinely don't want to see anybody feel bad.
100%.
I don't want anybody to get hurt. I want people to feel like they can do or be whatever they want to be. But it'll turn selfish, and it'll turn, just
there's a little piece in that background motivated, where you're like, wait a second, I'm so close to helping this person figure out this problem, and they're going to thank me for it.
Yeah.
And anytime those words or that thought goes through your head, there's a part of it that's selfish because you worked hard for it.
And I'm like, I want credit.
Right. Give credit where it's due. And, if so-and-so came to me with a problem, I take it head on because I know also in kind of like a self-loving way, like, I know I can bear this for you, and you're not strong enough to take this all yourself, so I'm going to. It's like self-credit.
So how do we get that to be unselfish? You know what I mean? I know what I try to do, but what do you like? So for me, I'll give you an example to go off. So for me, if I'm doing something for somebody, it's not, I fight the urge for it to be because I want praise for it.
Right.
But that comes up because everybody wants a little bit of recognition.
Wants, love for what
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but for me, what I'll look at is like, all right, you want this recognition, or you want to be praised by this person. What else though? What else?
Yeah.
What's the deeper intrinsic thing behind that? And the purpose for me is just simply, my mission is to help as many people as I can for as long as I can. Yeah. And I always just go back to that.
Yeah, that's been your mission for a long time.
Yeah. And then from there, it's just, I get into the thoughts of, well, would you do this for them without the praise or without the recognition? I'm like, well, hell yeah, I would, because I genuinely care about people, So I kind of circle myself back to it. But oh goddamn, it feels good when someone's like, "Yo, thank you for helping me get that back squat," or "Thank you for helping me get."
And there
this,
he goes with the torch, like here he is, right
off into the mist,
right.
Back into the shadows.
I think that I get pretty sensitive with people when they bring up the word selfish, because I with goal setting, you and I help other people set visions and goals, and I think that what comes up is people are like, oh, but being selfish, like, that's so rude. Why would you ever? I'm very selfless. I want to do this for other people. And I'm like, hey, I'm really selfish. And you can ask 10 people in this room what I've done for them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm also very selfless. And I think that selfish gets a bad rep. There's a way to take care of yourself. And I don't think that you can really ask somebody. I think that a person that comes from personal development, right, if they're helping other people with their problems, they normally, in the back of their head, whether they've officially created a mission statement for themselves, there's something back there of the reason why they do everything they do every day. And like for me, I've always lived by the mission statement. I want to be so authentically myself that it gives other people permission to be authentically themselves.
Ooh, right? I like that.
Thanks.
Solid. Yeah. Ooh.
See? And then I love that. Because I'm like, I put in the work to become authentic and not live in like a conformist way. So I think that, when I help other people, I'm like, no, I'm going to help you break through this wall, because on the other side of this is more authentic version of you than what's standing here right now. And I have a friend and she would never care about me talking about this. She has been dating this guy for a long time, and they have their own issues, things like that, and they're going back and forth, and she's like, I just don't want you to hate him. And I was like, wait, I love him as a person. I do. I'm like, he's not a bad guy, and you'll never hear me call him a bad guy. But what is happening to you is you are stepping so far away from who you are as an authentic person that you've got to dive back into you in order for you guys to keep this thing going.
Oh, it's not that he's bad guy, it's that the way she's changing.
Right, and it's a mutual thing, right? Yeah. When you grow with a person, sometimes you can start to change each other.
Yeah.
Just because of life.
You assimilate.
Right, because of life and like Susie had a bad day and Bob couldn't stand it, so they fought.
Yeah.
Like, shit happens.
It's very true.
But unless you're cultivating authentic lives around each other, it's just not going to work. You're actually telling each other to not be who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I think that when it comes back to how do you step away from wanting the selfish part of it, like the hoorah, go you?
Yeah.
I think that there's a give take,
Yeah.
Like, what have you done for the other person that you deserve and should be able to just sit there and be like, I really deserve the thank you. And like being able, sometimes it's hard to be able to sit there and say, yeah, I really deserve this praise. Some people can't even take appreciation.
It's hard to accept a compliment.
It's so hard.
Do you have trouble with that?
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with that. Saying thank you is so hard for me.
So weird. Because immediately you want to shoot yourself down.
Yes, like we're taught to be like, oh, no, don't thank me.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like, I'm guilty of this myself. Someone will say, oh, you know, that's so crazy that you lifted that much weight or something along those lines. And I'm like, oh, well, there's stronger people in the world than me. And it immediately diminishes. I'm diminishing myself. It's not anything anybody else did. I'm just diminishing myself because I'm comparing myself to legit. There is very many people that are stronger than me, you know, but that doesn't have to take away from something that was cool that I did.
Mm-hmm. Goes back to that personal trainer on career day that, you know,
fucking guy. How crazy is that? Have you ever had that? Has anybody ever given you that? You know what I mean? You're not gonna be able to do that. You're not gonna amount to shit. You're not gonna be, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it happens pretty frequently because I'm the yogi that can't fly into inversions and can't twist my legs around each other, and I'm also like into fitness in a way where no, I can't back squat 200 pounds, and I can't in CrossFit do a lot of movements. But does that take away from me being physically fit and strong? No. Does it take away from me being like a good yogi mentally and like dedicating time to practice? Absolutely not.
I think it's too funny when people kind of like, oh, I'm not good at yoga.
Yep. And you're like, what the hell does that even mean?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
how are you not good at yoga? You can literally get on a mat and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And call it yoga.
It's yoga.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's so funny.
It's so funny. And I think that, you know, a lot of the things that we talk about, it all goes back to societal norms and these huge ideas and energies around the topics that we give them.
Yeah.
And I posted something on Facebook the other day. I'm doing a portfolio for my photography around the people that are defying the norms through CrossFit and yoga. Mm-hmm. So I want the ideal overweight person doing yoga, the person that's not a pretzel, the, you know, mom of 6 kids that had to squeeze in 30 minutes of her day. And I want the person that's, you know, 60 plus years of old attending CrossFit that's just doing step ups while everybody's doing box jumps. Like, that's what I want to document. And the amount of people I had messaging me saying, sign me up, was just, I had 23 people total ready for this portfolio. And I was expecting 6, right?
That's crazy.
And I was expecting for me to end up having to like reach out to some people awkwardly.
Hey, can you?
Like, you're not what people think of.
You're kind of fat.
Right.
Can you back squat this?
Right. Like, it's so awkward. And like, I shied away from doing this portfolio for a little while because I was like, people are going to think this girl just wants to take pictures of me because I'm, you know, super inflexible or fat or, you know,
well, you don't want it to turn into like a circus. And that's not the purpose behind it. That's not the reason.
Not a circus. It's like cutting out the reasons and things that we put and attach to yoga, CrossFit, or anything. You know, like we attach so much.
Yeah.
Because like it's easy to look at me or you and be like, wow, of course you can jump rope. You're 20-something years old. Of course you can jump rope. And it's like, well, yeah, but you came here for an hour of your day. Of course you can set out an hour of your day, right?
Yeah.
Like we can dumb anything down
we can do it.
Or make it extreme, you know?
I like that. That's a cool project.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm super excited.
I think that's cool because that's the truth too. Is like with CrossFit specifically, people will come in and they're like, "Dude, I see this stuff on YouTube or on ESPN, and everybody's jacked and like I'm not in shape enough to go to CrossFit." Yeah. I'll hear that all the time.
Oh
I'm not in shape enough to go to start CrossFit. Right. I'm like, well, that's why that's why you go to CrossFit is to get yourself in shape.
Right.
You know, and
be inspired by the people that go to the nines to dedicate their entire lifestyle and nutrition and sacrifice so much for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was talking to Matt Miller from CrossFit Wheelhouse, and I don't know if you ever see his posts on Facebook, but he posts out like videos on nutrition and just trying to spread the message about CrossFit and what it does for people, and also like meditation. And I think it reminds me of you in a lot of ways where, you know, people could still look at you or Matt Miller and be like, well, of course they're saying that. They're so fit and they're good at these things, right? Yeah. But what Matt said that really stuck with me was, has anybody realized that the super fit, shredded, yoked, or the ones that can lift a lot and do a lot of things in CrossFit, there's only 2% of us in the room. Mm-hmm. Every single
That's
CrossFit
not how
gym,
it goes.
It's almost unlikely that there's these really amazing athletes in your box.
Yeah.
You know?
The people you see on ESPN, and just CrossFit specifically, but this can go for anything.
Right.
You know, especially if you scroll down social media, like we talked about this
yogi
before,
Instagrams,
you'll catch people's highlight reel and that kind of thing. And we just get stuck in this comparison of like, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm not good enough to do that. Well, you know, you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to. All you have to worry about is what you can control, like what we've been saying. What you can control is yourself. So where are you at? And one of the things that I'm loving right now is I actually started doing some jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome.
And dude, it's freaking awesome. I love it.
Jiu-jitsu kind of encompasses like the mental stuff, right?
So mentally, here's what I know about it so far, and I have very limited experience in it. Yes, you have to be mentally in control or aware enough that when somebody's trying to choke you out, you can convince yourself that you're all right. Right. You know, and that comes from rolling with people who are experienced and aren't actually going to hurt you and that kind of thing. But the thing about it is, like, I'm not very good at it. Right. You know, I'm decent because I work out, I'm in shape, or I have good lungs, and I grew up wrestling, so I'm familiar with how to move people. Right. But even that still, like, I am by no means killing it in jiu-jitsu at all. But what's great about that is, like you're saying, you have myself, who's a gym owner, who is a seemingly in-shape guy, and all this kind of stuff. But, dude, even
you're doing something
I'm doing something that is beginner for me. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's something that I'm not good at it. Right. You know? And what I love about that is that I'm not fucking good at it. Right. You know, it's something new to challenge, and I think we'll like convince ourselves. You know, we'll be met with a challenge. This is what I'm getting at. We'll be met with a challenge, and we'll have two sort of options. One is I can compare myself and negate why I can't do things, or I can look at this challenge and I can say, well, fuck it, I'll try. Yeah. You know, and go for it and not worry about looking like an idiot, not worry about looking dumb, not worry about failing, not worrying about the outcome, just worrying about, well, here's something I've never done before. I need to put myself into situations that I've never been in before. Right. Because how else am I going to learn what type of person I am? You know, you learn who you are when you're in situations like, you know, some guy's on your back trying to choke you out. How are you going to react?
Right, because you're putting yourself in things that, like, you know, not everyone's doing. Everyone goes to the grocery store. Yeah. Everyone drives in a car. And both things evaluate what kind of person you are, right? Like, sitting at a red light that you've watched the other lights turn green and it still hasn't come to you, you'll see what kind of person you are, patient or impatient. Yeah. Same thing in the grocery store. Like, we avoid the aisles that look too long. Right? Like, you know, like when we're going to the register, we analyze the people's carts and we're like, how long is that going to take?
Oh, she's got a lot of fish soap.
Right. And then when we get in those lanes and we start to go out to checkout and we see that same person with the seemingly big cart get out first, we're like, wow, she went to that line. Damn it. You know, this is because of her card, right? Like, you still see what kind of person you are in these like normal routine situations. But when you take the bigger step and go to, hey, I just don't do yoga because I'm not good at it. Okay, so then you should probably do yoga.
You should probably do it.
Right. I don't do CrossFit because of X, Y, and Z reasons. You should probably try it and do it. Yeah. You know, like, I don't go on a diet. Like, you have to do the things that you don't do because you at least need to learn more about yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. Regardless of what it is, you have to do things that you're not accustomed to. Yeah. Because if you're not, you know, everybody knows if you're not growing, you're dying. Right. You know, one of the things that I love, did you see this fit to fat to fit guy? Have you seen that? No. It's this guy who was yoked, like he was jacked, like, I don't know, like 3% body fat, like just shredded, this trainer. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know what his name is, but it's Fit to Fat to Fit. And he decided he's going to stop working out. He's going to eat I think he just ate like a typical American diet, which consisted of, whatever, 3 meals a day, meat, bread, and potatoes, or whatever it is. And he did that for 6 months to a year, something like that. Gained a whole bunch of weight. I think I don't know, I could be wrong here. Like, he didn't exercise. He just lived a sedentary lifestyle. I think he ended up gaining, I don't know. This is a completely guess of a number, 80 pounds, 100 pounds. I don't know. But he looked like crap. He looked horrible. Compared, the side by side of him to how he was to how he is now is super overweight, sweating, walking up the steps, all these kinds of things. Not a very healthy lifestyle. And he did this, and then he wanted to feel what it felt like being an overweight or obese person, to then go back down to losing all that weight and becoming back in shape and shredded and ripped and healthy and all this kind of stuff. And it was like he lived his entire life, in shape, ripped, and all this kind of stuff. He didn't know what it felt like to be the person that he was trying to help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he put himself in somebody else's body.
Yeah. So it's an extreme measure. I'm not telling anybody to go out and gain 100 pounds so you can feel what it's like to lose 100 pounds.
Right.
But that's the idea, is even if it's something that, even if you have to think outside of the box a little bit, this guy's a perfect example of, you got to do things that you're not used to, or you got to challenge yourself in ways that you're not used to be challenged. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I love this jiu-jitsu, because I had a guy, there was a guy who was there the other night, and I'm 235, 240.
Right.
I'm relatively strong. I understand, I was saying. Right. This guy was he was probably 180, 185. Whooped me. Whooped me.
And any idea you could have had about this person before just took you out the door.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, if I saw this guy on the street, I would feel like I could take him.
Right.
He's kind of nerdy. Right. Super nice guy. I don't mean to talk bad about him.
No, if it was but
it was
a normal person's
amazing.
Judgmental side of their brain would be geeky guy, small, nothing compared to me.
He took me out, dude, and
That's
I was
awesome.
Tuned up. But it was just, I'd never been in that situation before, really. It's something so new to me, and I love it. I've been researching jiu-jitsu shit all day. It's just something new. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have anybody in your yoga class, your yoga teacher training, that seldomly does yoga or hasn't really done yoga? Do you have anybody like that?
They just kind of dove in?
Yeah.
I don't
it's okay
think so.
Yeah.
I think everybody did a little bit of yoga. Okay. But I think kind of word got out about the personal growth side of this one yoga training. And a lot of people who are there, I believe, are there for themselves. They'll ask who plans on teaching. Right. Or who wants to teach or
Most
anything.
People don't.
Nobody wants to do it. I think I'm the only one.
People do not believe me.
Yeah.
When I say that after the training, I was like, everyone was like, oh, so it's just a yoga school? People just become yoga instructors? I'm like,
no.
I can't even really explain to you, but all I can tell you is 3 of us out of maybe 10 people actually teach.
I think I'm the only one who was yeah, I definitely want to teach. Yep. There was one other lady who said she'd be interested but wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Out of 10 people.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's so cool though, because
people
everybody is there for
investing in
themselves,
right?
Yeah.
And it goes a long way. And I think what I picked up from us talking just about stepping outside the box, doing things you wouldn't normally do, is we didn't use the words "you should try these things." It's you have to, in order. And it's not if you're in the mindset of I don't think this personal development stuff would work. 1, you're already just lying to yourself. But 2, you have to. If you want to get anywhere in personal development, you've got to do the uncomfortable things.
Yeah. Well, I think it's personal development, yes, but even in, in your career. Yeah. Say, all right, I don't know, I work at a moderate level job. I make $45,000 a year. And I want to get that promotion to be a manager. Yep. Being a manager, you have different things that you haven't been doing, so you have to learn these things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Personal growth, you have to address things otherwise that you wouldn't have addressed.
For sure.
And it's just how do you convince people that? How do you get someone to do something that they're not?
I have a weird method of doing this with friends, family, people. I'm like not the one that's like, here, like let's yeah, so how about the personal development conversation we had? Do you still want to do it? You know, we've got the people that I like to call them follow-uppers. Mm-hmm. They love to follow up with people. They're like, hey, that conversation that we had last week about X, Y, and Z issues in your life, how are they going? And then there's the abandoners, right? Like, I abandon. Very much so. And it could also be a bad thing. It could also actually make people feel horrible. But so could follow-upping. Like, they could make people feel very annoyed and pressured.
Yeah.
Right. I usually take the abandon route where I dive all in. We kind of have a conversation about personal development. It usually starts off with the conversation that's usually typical is, I'm so jealous of your life. You seem so happy. Yeah, you know, that's how it gets going.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Usually you can kind of flake and be like, oh, thank you. You can just leave it at that. And usually I'm like, well, why can't you be this happy? Aren't you happy doing what you're doing? Like, you're living the time of your life and study abroad. You're in college. Like, are you having fun? Like, you seem happy. And they're like, well, no. Like, I guess I didn't realize how much debt I was going to have, or I still don't really know what I want to do. And I'm like, well, how about you dive into that? What do you like to do? And most people
no idea.
Have no fucking idea, right? And it's the same thing with like people, you know, Katie, help me get in shape or help me start yoga. It's the same conversation, and you know this. It's the same conversation, and that's kind of an easier way to put it so that more people can understand. Is, hey, Katie, I really want to start yoga, or I really want to start CrossFit, or I really just want to start in the gym in general. Like, help me out. Like, what do I have to do? And I always go through the basics. Well, where do you live? What do you actually like to do? Do you like cardio? Do you want to stray away from cardio? Do you want to just move your body? Do you want to breathe? Like, what is it that you actually want to do? And when we get down to it, it's like, here's my top 3 favorite boxes in your area, because I know that stuff. And here's the top couple yoga studios I like around you. Or if you want to come with me a couple times, come with me this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. Right? And I give them 2 options. You can do all the work yourself, or you can opt all in with me. And either way, you're going to do exactly what you said you wanted to do. Now, most people would follow up Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Friday, or Saturday and be like, hey, are you still coming with me? Yeah. Not me. I'm an abandoner. I like to give them the exact time, date, location of where I'm going to be, and everything that they could need, all the tools. And if they don't go there, I don't follow up with them, because what's going to happen is that they're going to get sick of their own stuff. Everyone gets sick of their own bullshit, and we've talked about this before. Eventually they're going to come back around, and it might not be to you this time because they're going to be embarrassed, or just feelings of feeling like you might not help them a second time around, but they're going to come back around in their own way, you know? Yeah. People always come back to the personal development. I think that's a good way to do it. I think, and I think the follow-uppers might have a way better connection and friendship with these people at the end of the day, because I definitely have seen people ask me for help on the CrossFit yoga level, don't show up, and then I see them post Facebook statuses, or I hear that they're asking a different person on this stuff, and they still don't show up. It's because then they get embarrassed. So the follow-uppers might get a better response, but But
think about it like this: that's basically your first test.
Totally.
It's your test.
Totally. And
you know, how committed are you? I'll tell you what I'm doing, and I'll show you everything, but I'm not going to waste my time.
For sure. And that's respecting yourself.
I'm not going to let you waste my time. I'm not going to invest in you if you're not going to give a shit.
Do you ever feel like because of your personal development stuff, you like to, and this might sound manipulative, but you like to put people in situations that make them personally grow? Totally. Oh my God. Absolutely. Like, for me, having them sit there and not show up and then have to think about, I told her I was going to go, or should I go tomorrow morning? Like, having them go through this kind of anxiety and this debate and the self-questioning, like, I want them to go through it. Yeah. You know? Totally.
Because that's how they'll figure out, that's how they build momentum. I have a guy who comes in Actually, you just met him. He was on the podcast, Tony, and he'll be like, I read the workout in the morning, and like all morning I'm convincing myself that I have to go to the gym. He's like, I hate going to the gym, but I go because every morning I have to convince myself that I'm gonna go. And I'm like, but you do it.
You just
and
do
that, what does that say about your character? What does that say about who you are? You know? Yeah. But I think you're totally right. It is a little bit manipulative, but if you do it in the proper way,
it's all out of love and kindness.
It's all out of love and kindness, exactly. And you're putting people in situations where they're going to learn about themselves. Yeah. You know, I would not know as much about myself as I do if I didn't, essentially hit like an emotional rock bottom.
Right.
I wouldn't know.
Right.
I wouldn't know anything, or I will learn about myself based off of looking back at a decision that I made. Well, why did I choose that? Why didn't I go to the gym? Why did I go to the gym? Mm-hmm. Why did I eat pizza instead of a salad, or vice versa? And you learn about yourself through these. All those little decisions are building up your bank, essentially, of who you are.
Yeah, that toolbox, man.
Yeah, but like you said, like I'll just in training, I have a girl that I'm working with right now with Olympic weightlifting, mm-hmm. and we decided tomorrow, on Fridays, we kind of go heavy. We do a heavy snatch, we do a heavy clean and jerk, and just kind of see where we're at, just to get some weight on her shoulders. And tomorrow, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna load her bar for her, and she's going to load mine for me. And I'm not going to know how much is on the bar, and she's not going to know how much is on the bar. And it's going to drive her fucking nuts. It's going to kill her. It's going to kill her.
You'll slap that, even just an additional 10 pounds.
I can almost guarantee that she's going to hit a PR tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because she's way stronger than she is, but mentally she talks herself out of it, mm-hmm. because she's so used to doing that.
Right.
And therefore I'm going to put her in a situation to where she doesn't know what's happening fully. She knows what she has to do,
right,
which is lift the bar, but she doesn't have control over what's going on, so how is she going to react? Yeah. She's either going to fold, and it's going to be, it'll be an emotionally draining day, right, or it's going to be just fucking triumphant.
And either way, right? Either way, she's going to leave, and if she doesn't hit a PR, she's going to be like, wow, but think about all the time still that I flaked because it was mental.
Right. Right.
I didn't pick that bar up over my head because I was nervous that it was more weight than I'm used to.
Right. It's not a physical day tomorrow. Right. It's a mental toughness day.
That's so awesome.
I'm so stoked for it.
That's so awesome.
It's going to be so cool because it's those situations that you learn the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I love it's so funny, like in life coaching and stuff, you talk so much about language, or just in interpersonal, mm-hmm. communication. Language is crazy.
Oh my god.
You can manipulate things like you said, this is where I'm going to be exactly. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
And people, you'll just give them that, look, I don't care if you come, or I don't care if you don't come.
Yep.
And people will kind of look at it like, well,
what do you mean?
You're not going to try to convince me?
I'm paying you.
Or you're not going
to tell me to keep coming?
Yeah, you're not going to try to sell me?
Right.
You're not going to, you mean I have to make my own decision?
Right.
I can't make my own decision. What the fuck? You're supposed to tell me what to do.
It.
Yeah. I think that's what it leads down to. Mm-hmm. Is we're so used to being told what to do.
Yeah.
No one makes their own decisions
It's like
anymore.
that crafted path, and it goes back to all those, like, some scars in the path that you choose is because you see this, it looks so easy when you're little too, right? You're mm-hmm. like, it's the 6th grade to the 7th grade to the 8th grade, and that's high school. And that's college. Like, you have all the steps. But when you go off of one of those steps, you're like, oh shit, it's either I hop back on those steps and get the ball rolling, or I'm totally just thrown into the woods with nothing on my back.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Awesome.
Because that's when you'll know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people will go and put themselves in these like life or death situations. Because dude, think about the clarity that those people have. Like you talk to like an addict or somebody who had a near death experience.
Oh yeah.
And you talk to them, or like fucking that movie Fight Club,
mm-hmm.
when he's like, feel how alive you are. I love that scene. They're driving in the car and he just lets go of the wheel and eventually they crash.
Yes.
And he's like, you've never felt more alive than you do right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
There was
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go try that.
I wish what channel it was, but Max's family and I went to Wisconsin this weekend, and on there was these like miraculous stories. And there's this blind guy that he lost his sight over time, so he wasn't just blind from birth. He watched his sight go away essentially, and he now does rock climbing off of like ice walls and like these huge buildings, and he also goes into like whitewater rafting and like canoeing, kayaking, whatever those things are. That's through like huge waves.
And he's blind?
And he's blind. And they're like, you can die from this. And he's with a group of people training for it, but he's like, I would never know what it was like.
Yeah.
If I didn't just try to get in the water. He's like, I hear this rushing of waves, but then when I get in there, like, you never know. Right? Like, talk about clarity.
That's so crazy.
Right?
I can't imagine, like, knowing that I'm going to be blind.
Yeah.
I'd be like, staring at things so hard.
So intently. I would want to, like, memorize every person in front of me.
That's crazy. Yeah. Think about how you mentally have to deal with that.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I think it just goes back to those things where you're like, yeah, like, if you lost something, imagine how much more you would appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's very true.
You always see the crazy stories, like the people that don't have certain limbs that are doing yoga or CrossFit, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, like people will say, losing my leg was the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm more alive now than ever. And you're like, dude, you only have one fucking leg.
Yeah, like, aren't you traumatized? Like, you could think about how, and like there's all these people, like, when they lose a limb and they're like, everyone like looks at them sadly and they're like, why are they looking at that? This is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
How crazy is that? The mental fortitude of people, people is insane. There's a guy my dad was telling me, he used to wrestle, and he had like, his one arm was, I think he had a nub from like his elbow, lost from his elbow down, something like that. And my dad would wrestle him, and he'd like take it easy on him, like not grab the arm or whatever. And the guy was a bad dude. He'd be like, "What? You like, you're not like, don't take it easy on me, blah blah." And he like, I think he like hit him with the nub, like hit him across the head with his like with his one arm that was missing. And my dad's like, what the fuck? What?
He hit me.
This guy just rocked me with like his half arm.
Oh my god!
But it was like, but it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Own it, man. Like,
all
that's
mental.
so cool,
Everything
man.
is just, it all goes back to mental.
Yeah.
Your mentality is everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's, oh man. I can't imagine.
So funny.
But I think those types of things, and that's what we're getting at, you got to do shit that puts you in an uncomfortable state.
Yeah. You would have never said to yourself a year ago, I'm going to pay all this money, go to this class once a month for a whole weekend, sit with strangers and tell them about my feelings and why I am the way that I am.
My deepest emotions that I don't even really understand.
Who the hell would open up the door to do that?
How crazy is that?
Right. So yeah, it's like about the shit that's actually going to make you grow, because even as you were already into life coaching, helping other people, and you still were like, this is just not enough. Like, I've got to develop more. There's still stuff personally that I don't even talk about.
Yeah. Like, I have things in my life that definitely aren't solved yet, and that's, like you said, that's why I want to go, and that's why I'm trying so hard to do all of this, because, again, something else we talked about is, you can't give what you don't have. Nope. You can't pour somebody a glass of water if your cup's empty.
Nope.
So
you could try really hard.
You can fucking try, but nothing's coming out.
But
you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah, you're going to kill yourself.
And I took that as kind of my own continuing education, because by helping myself, knowing the type of person that I am, by helping myself, I'm going to help other people. I just know it.
Right.
That's just how I am. That's just how I operate. And it's one of those, I forget what I was gonna say. Helping other people, and then I never would have thought that I was doing this.
Yeah.
But I fucking did it anyway.
Yeah.
You
can always backtrack to 2 years ago and think about it, and you're like, no shot in hell was I ever gonna do this.
Yeah. I think it's helping me a lot, because it's making me more effective in how I talk to people by working on myself. And one of the things that I noticed is, because like you said, like, I've done life coaching and such, and I'll talk about, like, times when I was doing drugs or friends who have died or any of those types of things. And I talk about them so much that I almost became desensitized to it,
right,
to where it would lose meaning.
Right.
To myself. When I would tell a story or something, it always seemed to be received well or whatever it is, but I would desensitize myself so much to it that I was not acting in that state.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is, that's making me less, that's backtracking me, and so I need to revamp and get back into myself to be more effective for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for a lot of people. Think about, I have a guy right now who comes to the gym, and he's kind of on this weight loss journey. He's just trying to be healthy. He quit smoking, he's taking care of himself, and he has sons. And he talks about his sons all the time, and one of the things he'll say is, don't do things for you, do it for the eyes that look upon you. Think about the impact that this guy is having by taking care of himself. Think about the impact that he's having on his kids' lives. Because they're going to look at their dad and be like, oh shit, my dad takes care of himself. My dad takes pride in who he is and what he does. I'm going to do that now too. So by taking care of yourself, you're impacting so many people around you. It changes generations.
Yeah.
It changes.
You never know who is watching.
Yeah.
Even in the social media world where we think that everyone's watching every move or everyone's not watching enough. Yeah. I had this girl that I grew up with when I was younger, and she knew me as kind of the dumb friend, and she was a really smart friend. In school, she got A's all the time. Even in the 3rd, 4th grade, I was getting D's. And so she was always the smart friend. She had perfect handwriting, the whole nine.
Uh-huh.
And I saw her at this bar the one day, and I wasn't even drinking at the time. I was with friends, and she comes up to me, and she's pretty wasted. So to think that she's even coming up to me, I'm like, what the hell? She's like, Katie, she's like, my 2 little sisters never talk about me. They always talk about you and what you're doing. And she's like, and I don't even care. I'm so happy that they look up to somebody that's not doing what I'm doing. And even though she was wasted, we're not in the ideal setting for a meaningful conversation.
Oh my God.
I will never forget that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only time that I think that people are watching is if it's my mom, my dad, an adult above me who's waiting for me to climb up and reach where they are. I don't even think about who's looking at me from down below.
From down below, yeah.
And
that's what matters.
Yeah.
I think, the one thing I thought is if she's drunk, she probably meant it.
100%.
Because,
Drunken words,
sober
thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to
Drunken words, sober thoughts. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. But no, you're totally right, man. We spend so much time trying to get approval of our peers and such. What about the people? What about the younger ones?
Yeah. And what about yourself? Right.
What about yourself? Yeah. I think that's something that I love doing, and I love... I was at jiu-jitsu last night, and they do a kids class. These little kids, oh my God, man, they're so freaking cute. They're just adorable, just, piling into each other, just little pillows that just smush against each other at the slowest speed possible. God. But just think about the influence for those kids, man. Think about how powerful those kids are going to be. These big, strong guys that are killers, man, just animals of dudes. And they're helping these little kids and teaching them discipline and all this stuff and accepting of each other. They wouldn't move to the next exercise until everybody was ready to move, and just all this really cool stuff. And it got me thinking, I do a lot, and I'll think a lot about people that I want to impress or people that I want approval of or these types of things. Because I'm a person who I need to be liked.
Yeah.
I don't like not being liked.
For sure.
And it fucking bothers me. So think about these kids, how empowering these kids are going to be, and how much brain energy they can put towards doing amazing things when they grow up in an environment that is totally accepting of who they are. Think about if I didn't spend, dude, every 5 minutes or even more, I probably get a hit of, I hope I didn't look stupid when I said that, or I hope I didn't seem dumb when I did that, or I hope they like me, Imagine if I didn't have those thoughts going through my head all the time of trying to be liked, and I just did me.
How much more capable you would be.
How much more shit I would try.
Thing
how many more risks
you're about to grab that barbell and you're like, oh shit, wait, how much weight do I have on here right now?
Yeah.
Like the second you make that thought, you've crossed a line where you might have just sacrificed some fortitude, right?
Yeah. It's powerful shit. So I think like that's what they're doing great at jiu-jitsu is taking care of the kids and stuff, and I think that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. That is we just get stuck again in that comparison of, man, I hope I look cool, or I hope I get the cool chick and have a cool car and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, stop. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just worry about what makes you happy.
And it's almost like one of those things where you're like, this actually kind of sounds like drained out when we say those things, like do what makes you happy. But like when you're waking up every single day, not wanting to go to work, like, when we, like, I don't know if you listen to a lot of Gary Vee, but Max and I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and like the one line that we always think about is, if you're living for the weekends of vacation, your shit is broken. Yeah. Right? Like, if I'm looking for Friday night happy hour because my week has just been 9 to 5 bullshit that I don't even care about, but it's paying my bills.
It's just time wasted.
You gotta get out.
Yeah.
You gotta be broke for a little while and go do the things that make you happy, because it catches up to you when you don't do the things that make you happy.
I think there's a practicality standpoint where, like, if you have a job and you got to pay for your family and such, 100%. You got to be a little more pragmatic about those things. 100%. But again, dude, your kids are growing up now watching you go to a job that you don't like. They know you don't like it. They can understand that you're doing it for the family, and it's a very respectable thing. But what are you teaching them? Yep. Are you teaching them that, hey, sometimes you're just going to have to, quote unquote, suck the day's dick and get it over with?
Yeah, like that's that's the kind of house that I grew up in.
Yeah, or can you have these means to an end and progress towards something that is actually going to fulfill you? Because we'll tell kids all the time, hey, dude, you can be whatever you want to be. Yep. You want to be a president? Go ahead.
Do it.
You want to play in the NFL? Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not if I am fat and have gray hair out the ass.
Maybe not, because I said probably not. But it's, you're going to tell them those things, so live the example. Right.
I think that in growing up in that household, like, I've always been appreciative and understand, like, kind of the grind that my mom and dad have gone on to, like, make sure that everything's taken care of in the house, that we have food, the essential things that we keep saying, they put a roof over your head. We get it.
Basic needs.
We totally get it. But what I learned most was I very much so, like, don't pay attention to their lives anymore because I don't think they do anything for themselves. Like, I'm always wondering, like, when are you going to work out and do yoga and make the time for these things? Yeah. Because, another thing that, Gary's pointed out too that I love, because I've always thought it myself, is you say that you need to come home and spend time with your family, but chances are your kids are downstairs playing video games or on their cell phones, or we're all in different rooms and we're all just being lazy.
How much, like, is it quality time or is it just time?
Right.
Like, there's a difference.
Yeah. So it just all goes back.
I'm all about it. I know we're on a podcast and stuff, but if the world collectively was to get rid of technology, and by technology I mean anything pretty much electronic tomorrow, I'd be all in.
Not this one though. See, we have opposing thoughts with it.
Really? I'd be all in.
Social media girl, but because of the way that I've taken it, and
it's the direction you put it in, right?
And I think that there's a lot of benefits where, like, there's some kids that might not have had any friends, and they have this idea in their head that they do have friends. So it is confidence booster for them to go do more things.
I can see that.
It's all encompassing on how you view it, but I think above all else, it's what we're doing with it now, right? Like, there's podcasts, there's, what I do too is photography and bringing more of an impact to social media of, like, I'm going to post all the important shit and make my captions about real life things, or, direct my social media in a different way. Like, the small little details that you do with electronics, I feel like some kids are going to catch on to. Yeah. And they already are catching on, the little kids. I see.
Oh my gosh.
Some of the kids wizards, over at iCore Fitness in Westchester, I love those kids, man. Like, I barely ever get to stop over there. I choose not to stop over there because I don't have I'm not making enough time to get there. Let's redirect those words.
Language, man.
I love them. Yeah, exactly. I love those kids over there. They get dropped off there every day after school. That's like their after school thing.
Yeah.
And they go in there and they like do all these flips and shit off the bars, like, but they like work out together. And then they jump into foam pits and like they do these obstacles and they have so much fun. Their Instagrams are unlike any of the other middle schooler and high schooler Instagrams I see right now.
They all have Instagrams.
Yes. And well, my little brother's 16, so it gives me some sort of idea that like it's important to them. But the kids at I-Core, they like their Instagrams, it's all about their grind, man. Like they post their like progress videos. They post like these captions about the work that they're doing. They're 14 to 17 years old.
That's crazy.
You know? And
good for them.
Yeah, and they're just capable of doing so much more than I can even do. And I look at them and I'm like, that's the social media work and that's the, you know, communication skills that I hope that there's more and more that take after them.
That's a positive influence.
Even if they start off by saying like, wow, that girl, this girl Angelina on there, she's got 6-pack and she's like 15. And I'm like, even if some of those girls are probably like, I want a 6-pack, so I'm going to do it. She does. Yeah. Even if that's their first inclination, go for it.
Do it. Why not? Yeah. Oh man, social media is just technology in general. It's amazing, and I feel a few certain ways about it. One, like I said before, is if we all went back to just living in the woods and shit and hunting for our food, I'd be totally cool with that. Like a complete.
It depends what you are.
Complete changeover.
Because I'm both.
I'm down.
You could put me in a tent by myself in the woods, and because my dad raised me camping, I'd be fine.
You'd be fine.
I love it.
I think, though, what's amazing is we have access to so many people.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
The internet, though, I will say, is pretty heavy. Like, you can get down some dark rabbit holes going on to some...
You can just go in a tantrum and just go stuff.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. It's crazy. But I was... what was I going to say? Oh, I was talking to a gentleman, and we were saying how it would just be... Everything is electronic. Everything is technology. People are... It's different. The world isn't the world that we're programmed to live in.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that...
Our bodies right now haven't adapted to the world that we're living in. That's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah, and I think that you even feel your hands sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Your hands are like the prime example of evolution right now is what I like to look at with social media is the way that your hands feel in yoga. Like I can tell if I was on my phone a lot the day before.
Oh.
Or typing or holding a phone up to my head. The next time you're in down dog or anything, just feel if there's any kink and look at your fingers.
Yeah.
My pinky, because of the fact that I do so much work on my phone and I hold a camera so many hours of a week. Oh my God, when I press into down dog, my pinky goes up.
Yeah.
Like my knuckle of my pinky is so up, and if I've tried to press it hurts. Like it's things that... And that's a little small example of our bodies not being used to the kind of world we're living in with electronics and stuff.
Well, that's like
but it's true.
You have people who work these like a desk job, just a regular 9 to 5. You're at a desk all day at a computer. Yeah. Like you're not meant to be in that. We're not meant to sit in chairs.
Oh my God, no.
You're not meant to be in a chair.
A chair was like the dumbest thing that was ever supposed to be made.
You're supposed to squat.
Yeah.
When you want to rest, you squat down.
You ever look at
think about how many people can't do a squat.
Look at the evolution of babies.
Yeah.
I learned this from Johnny Gillespie, and I've thought about it before, but he obviously cleared it up and gave me so much insight into it. They start curled up in a ball, and you think about how many people can't wrap their arms around their knees in yoga.
Yeah.
And then you think about how many people can't lean on their side and then press themselves up like a Turkish get-up, right? Mm-hmm. That's what babies do. They hold on to stuff, pull themselves up, the pulling motion. They squat to poop. They're like, oh, little so-and-so's pooping in the corner.
Yeah.
They're squatting, full-on squat, ankle mobility, and then they're standing. And then when they run leaning forward. When they walk, they walk leaning forward.
Face plant.
Right. When we run, we're trying to force ourselves to stay up straight, do all these things, sit in a chair, do these things that we were never made to do.
Not meant to do.
Right.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Why are we like... why are we fucking it up, dude? Why are we messing all this stuff up?
It's so funny.
How nuts is that? I'll tell people that. I'm like, next time you want to see a proper squat, find a 2-year-old and
Literally.
Just, well, not creepily watch a 2-year-old.
Fuck
But maybe a 2-year-old that you know.
Yeah, like look for your little cousin
just
that's
watch them.
squatting and pooping in the corner where they don't know where he is.
Yeah.
That's where he is. Go check out a squat form.
Throw something at their feet and have them pick it up.
Yep.
They'll squat down. They won't bend over at the hip to pick it up. They'll squat down.
They'll squat
and pick it
all
up.
the way down.
They'll squat ass to grass,
Yep.
pick it up, and it'll be perfect.
Yep.
Their heels won't come off the ground. It's insane.
It's unreal.
We're not meant for it, and I think one of two things is going to happen. Either all this technology and stuff, it's going to go into a different direction or something, and we're just going to continue in the bodies we are, or we're gonna evolutionize or whatever the word is, into just a completely different being.
I agree.
We
I think it's going to
robots.
go one way or the other, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. At the same time, kind of nervous, but that's because I like both sides.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm too simple.
It's okay.
I'm a simple guy.
It's a samskara thing.
It's a samskara. Yeah. It's just, I'll figure it out later.
I'm like, you know what? My samskaras
figure it
told me
out
my
next
dad
month.
brought me up camping, but I love social media.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, there's me, there's my dad, there's some scars in there. I'm gonna just do both.
You are a millennial.
I'm such a millennial.
Full on. What are other millennial things? The only thing I really know
avocado
is
tattoos like on my leg.
Oh my god. You do have
I'm full blown millennial.
That is a millennial shit to do though.
Yeah, that's a millennial thing.
Tight pants.
Even tattoos now have become more of a millennial thing, I feel.
A lot of people, tattoos are being a lot more accepted.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because I really want to get a full sleeve.
Same. That's like my project this winter. I was hoping.
Yeah. Gotta get the money first. But tattoos are being more accepted. Millennials
are different, man.
It's different.
But you've got to give us some credit.
Well, I think that's what I was going to say. You're a product of your environment.
Yeah, and like what we are doing with it essentially, and it's all again where you look. Like, I took this huge tip, and I wish I could remember which podcast I was listening to because I am a podcast junkie. It's all I listen to in my car.
Yeah.
What I found is this one tip was to get on your phone once a week and unfollow the 5 people that have annoyed you on your timeline.
Oh, okay? All right.
Biggest tip. And it's not to be offensive. And if it does offend somebody, that's just insanity, right?
Yeah.
That something like that could offend somebody.
Uh-huh.
But what it's done for...
Dude,
oh my God,
it
offends people.
It like real hard.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
it
hurts
people.
people's feelings full on.
Oh, yeah.
How crazy is that?
Which is disgusting.
Well, stop posting annoying shit.
Right.
Post something cool.
So I did this for 3 weeks in a row. But I followed well over 5 people each week. Like, I ended up unfriending at least 100 people on Facebook and at least unfriended 100 people on Instagram, essentially. And when I did that, I noticed that what I now was viewing back on my timeline was the Washington Post, the New York Times, the few storytellers that I like to follow through social media, photography pages, and fitness. Like, that's all that comes up on my timeline now.
Stuff that you actually align with. And
what it does is reignites my motivations for the day and keeps me in tune with what's going on, like, in the world.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, my friends that are daging every weekend, like, which is cool. It's fun.
Are there what?
Daging? You never heard of this?
Daging?
It's totally a UD term.
What is
you
daging?
Dage? It's day drinking. So you day rage. Rage during the day. Daging. Yeah.
That's millennial right
See,
there.
it's a millennial thing. So, like, I have friends that are at dages all weekend, and then, like, you know, those things were starting to bother me because I was like, well, should I have stayed in college?
Should I be doing that?
Should I be doing that right now? Like,
why am I
did I skip the fun? You know, like,
why am I not enjoying myself drinking my face off?
Right. So yeah, do the unfollowing tip. And
that's a good tip.
It's fun, and it brings. I think that's why I view social media differently. It's probably because of the things that I now view on it. You know,
I would say that's pretty empowering too. It's
so empowering
because you're now taking a stance on, hey, I'm not going to let your bullshit influence my life.
Yeah, and it's not so like, you know, I feel so bad that I always use the name Susie, but like, you know, Susie Q, like, it's not like I'm like, hey, your life is pissing me off, so I don't think that I'm your friend anymore, unfollow. It's like, actually, the things that I'm doing now are so much more important that I can't view stuff that's not as important every single day.
Well, you think about, like, I always try to come to, you know, what gives your energy and what takes your energy away.
Right.
You know, if like I'm saying, if I'm spending all my time worrying about if I'm liked by other people or not, that's draining.
So you're obviously really not going to love social media because it's an easy target for that.
Right. And I wish I don't.
Right.
But it's an energy drainer, you know, but an energy promoter, something that gives me energy, is going and, you know, coaching at the rehab or teaching class or yoga or something like that. So if you have things on social media that you're constantly looking at, what are you getting out of what you're looking at? Is it positive or is it negative? What are you spending your focus on?
Same thing with the people that wake up and watch the news every damn day.
Fuck the news.
Oh
dude,
my gosh. Me. It's like, what?
It's
when
so
I always hear and this is not taking a stab at my parents or anything, because they don't watch the news every single morning or anything like that, but when they do, you'll be cooking in the kitchen and you'll hear oh my God. So sad. No.
Another robbery.
He's an idiot. Like, just these things you hear all the time, and you're like, where's the laughing?
Yeah.
Where's the, oh shit, that's such a good point?
Yeah.
And where's the, wow, did you hear that? That's really important.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not saying don't watch the news, but what I am saying is, like, watch it with a grain of, like, take it with a grain of salt. Because
keep your eyes open, but
it's very easy to get in that trap. One thing I do know, like, about the human brain is it's much easier for us to fall into a negative feedback loop.
Oh my God, yeah.
So easy.
Oh my God, dude, you could talk yourself in or out of anything.
Anything. It's way harder to find a positive side to something. Sure. I don't know why that is, but
I
gotta believe that's
the
a
low diving
thing.
board and the high diving board.
Yeah.
And the high diving board is, it's like so many more steps to the positive way.
Yeah. I gotta believe it's a societal thing, though. Because our brains are built on positive feedback. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're hungry and you found food, positive feedback. Yep. Good, dopamine.
Yep.
You know, or
somewhere along the line,
something's chasing. Yeah. Somewhere around, I don't know who this asshole was.
Yep.
But somebody changed us.
He took away that, like, cookie after you did something good a little bit too far.
A little too far.
Right.
And I think, everybody, we have the ability to go back to it.
For sure.
But, oh, man. Yeah, you got to take that shit with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's so easy. That negative feedback loop is horrible. Because then it's whatever momentum you're building. You know, if you're running downhill, you can speed up downhill, you know?
Oh, yeah. I can be queen of it with, like, especially with the CrossFit stuff, because I'm physically fit and athletic. It's a tough road for me to be in. Like, I'm like...
How do you pull yourself out of that?
For me, like, I take the time off, but I use that time off wisely. So I take my yoga into my time off. So, like, this week was... I got this really cool opportunity with work, and it kind of disheveled everything that I'd set out to do with CrossFit this week and, like, working out. But it was obviously very important to me. Like, I was like, you know, the work that I've got to put in because this opportunity is in front of me has to get done this week. But what am I going to do to make sure I stay in this good mindset so that I can get back into CrossFit when I have the open time? And I've spent this entire week getting back into one of the books that I stopped reading. I've gotten back into my journaling, and I still have been practicing at least 30 minutes of yoga.
There you go. Do you sleep? How much sleep do you get a night?
So I get a pretty good amount of hours of sleep, but my quality of sleep is horrible.
Yeah.
So I get around, like, anywhere from 5 to 7 hours of sleep. And I'd say that normally when I get like 5.5 good quality hours of sleep, I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
I need 8 hours. I need it. Can't do it.
It's like the 7 o'clock mark where, like, that's 7 hours of sleep that if I get there, I'd just rather stay in bed all day because now I've just hit the lazy. Yes.
Yeah.
The 6 hour thing, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Get your coffee and run out the door. The 5 hour, I think that I'm just there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think sleep is quickly becoming, and I've seen some, like, you know, articles and research about it. Sleep is quickly becoming the number one thing that attributes to a healthy lifestyle. Yeah. You know, there's genetics and all those types of things, but we don't pay attention enough to two things, I think. One is our feet, and two is sleep.
Totally.
Everybody is lacking sleep. You know, people, what is it? Is it China or Japan or Tokyo? It might be China, but there's a term for working yourself to death because people will literally are working themselves to to death. People die.
Yeah.
Because they're sleep deprived. They're all this stuff. Like, it's nuts.
You can actually, you can literally kill yourself over those things. And
Totally.
I think that it goes back to that comment about like quality of sleep.
Quality
right?
of sleep is huge.
And it's the argument of like, hey, well, does your alarm clock need to be the one that's coming from your phone? I'm guilty of that. But what happens is in the middle of the night, if I slightly open my eyes, I've now just seen, this goes back to Instagram. All this staging.
All this staging. Right? All this night jam.
I've seen like all these things that I just need to check real quick, and then 15 minutes gone by. Now I'm getting up to pee. Now I'm coming back, and it's taking me an extra 45 minutes to go back to sleep.
And then you're
or the whole coffee thing. We're a coffee society.
I
love coffee.
I love coffee.
But what's been happening, and I said this morning, is I was like, I keep sleeping really awful, and it's because I'm drinking my last cup of coffee around 6 o'clock. And I haven't realized it's affected me until now. I'm going to bed at 11:30, which is not me. Like, I like the 9:30 bedtime.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be winding down at 9:15.
Yeah.
I want to be...
me in, dude.
Yeah, like, I just want to be curled up, 9:30, and just out.
Uh-huh.
I shouldn't be up at 10. Because I've got a day that I essentially wish it was starting at 5 every day.
Yeah, shit to do.
Right.
Yeah, I think sleep is something we don't pay enough attention to, and it directly contributes to lifestyle choices.
For sure.
Think about when you're in a rush, you're tired or something, you're like, I'll just drive through McDonald's.
Yes.
Or any other fast food place.
And you will not get up the same the next morning.
Now you're overtired, you're eating shitty food, and then
anyone notice like Halloween? Like Halloween killed me.
Did it?
I don't know why. It's because there's so much candy in the house, and I'm one of those people. If it's not there, I won't eat it.
Yeah.
But if it's there,
Reese's Cups, dog.
7 of them gone. I mean, the wrapper pile was
insane.
Something you've never seen. Like there was a couple of Milky Ways thrown in there, and my sleep that night was
probably
just
like shit.
Yeah, like you wake up and you feel like you never even slept. You feel like you blacked out too. Yeah, not
dude,
good.
I was nervous. Speaking of food and sleep, like I started eating vegetarian and vegan / like I kind of found a mix of the two.
Yeah.
And mostly like I'm just avoiding dairy, and I'll have honey sometimes.
And how do you feel?
Because like vegans don't have honey, but I feel great. I feel fantastic. Right. And like about 2 months into it, it was my parents' anniversary. And they wanted to go to Fogo de Chão,
the most
which is
place of all.
Nothing but meat.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? Like, fuck it, I'm in. Like, I'm going in. It's their anniversary. Blah blah blah. It's all good. And I was nervous because I was like, man, this meat's gonna tear me up, dude. It's gonna kill me.
Some people
it's
throw
gonna
up
tear me
after,
up. Yeah. And I went in, man. I probably had, dude, I probably had like 3 pounds of steak.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
I went there too, and I probably had about the same.
Crush it.
Yeah.
And I was waiting then the next day for my sleep and my belly and stuff to like be killing me, and luckily I was fine. Awesome. But I was so nervous. I was like nervous for like 3 days before. I was like, oh, this is gonna suck. But I still did it.
You still did it.
Why?
Right. And I'm the same way. I looked at that. I talked to myself 4 days before Halloween, right? And I was like, I can easily have 2 Reese cups and call it a fucking day.
Yeah.
I got home, talked to myself as I'm going in the house. I'm like, I know what's going to be there.
Don't.
Don't eat it. Like, you don't want it. You know how you feel. You've journaled before and after, like, ridiculous things. Like, and I had eating issues all through high school and grade school. Like, typical, a lot of girls do. Like, and guys just don't talk about it as much. Sure. But, like, the whole 9 yards of like just going through different trial and error, different eating disorders, right? And so I've gone through the journaling process and evaluating what foods make me feel like what, and I'm like, still in this rabbit hole. I'm like, don't eat it. You're not going to eat that when you go in the house. Yeah. The first thing I do is not heat up my meal prep. I walk right to the bowl and I look at not the kid size, the little size. I get the full pack of Reese's and just lay 3 on the table while I'm heating up my meal prep. I'm just eating them. And the worst part is you're like eating it. You're not hungry for it.
No.
It doesn't even taste that great.
I'm going to disagree respectfully.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I think it tastes great, but I know what you're saying.
But like essentially, like I'm not full after it.
It's not like getting laid or something.
Yeah, like, it's not. It's not even close to getting laid as long as you're laying the right person. Well, but like the Reese cup thing, you're just like, I like Reese cups, but do I like 9 of them before I eat a full meal? Like, why? No, that didn't even make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, but we do that.
We do it. And
I can't, like...
I still want to know how to figure that out, and I think that I've actually... So last week, that's when I did that, was Halloween, and I looked up the day after, just out of curiosity, if there were any week retreats that would help clear you mentally for eating.
Yeah. Oh,
and I didn't find anything specifically, but just like general immersion retreats on like life and yoga retreats and things like that. And I remember the final weekend of YTT was the final weekend that I like really learned about me and my eating, but I wanted it to never end. Like I wanted another week of somebody just giving me my food exactly in the portions and the counting that I need.
Yeah.
Stopping after every single bite to put my fork down. Like I loved that.
Yeah.
Because I felt amazing.
Awesome.
I looked awesome after that weekend. Yeah. And I didn't miss anything that I was eating before.
One of the things that our one teacher, Anna, was saying from Yoga Barn, she's awesome.
She's such an interesting human. You have to keep talking to her.
She teaches like Ayurveda and diet, nutrition. And she was saying, and this is something I've been contemplating doing, is she'll eat something and then she won't eat again until she has used all that food. And this is how Ayurveda works, I guess. Like, as in, she'll eat breakfast. And she won't eat something until she passes that breakfast, until she basically shits it out.
Yeah, she has to poop first.
And then you'll eat your next thing. And that's, I mean, essentially, you got to think about it. Like, if you think your body is a factory, that's how it works. Why are you putting more fuel in before everything else gets used?
Right.
You know, and that, and just the appreciation of the food that you're going to have.
Oh my gosh. If you ever tried to minimalistically eat.
If you're feeling hunger, and there's people who are hungry all the time in this world. God. Can you imagine, like, the appreciation that you have for food and what that does to you psychologically is
it changes the
incredible.
Way you look at food.
It changes the way you look at food, and inherently is going to change the way you look at
It's hard to bring back home. You know, just still while living with my parents, it's the hardest thing. It's like they're so set in their ways, and my siblings are, that like it's so hard to like come home and fight it
because you're not really in control.
Yeah, you're not in control of what's in the fridge, and you know, I do my own grocery shopping, but when you come home, you're surrounded by everything else. Like, it comes back to discipline. But when I was in that yoga immersion retreat that last weekend, I found that the best tasting food I've ever had was raisins. Raisins. And I've never put raisins in a salad before except for this weekend. And the texture, if you eat one raisin and you take like 10 bites on one raisin and like really feel it on your tongue, it's so strange how you can appreciate food.
Wow.
So strange. Yeah.
I think that's such an important thing because I've worked with some people who have had eating disorders. Yeah. And it's got to be, I believe, the hardest thing to teach or to overcome. I think, and it gets overlooked a lot.
Yep.
You know, mental illness in general, I think, is getting better. The stigma's getting better, but 100%. We have a long way to go with it still. But that's a whole other story. But the reason I say that is because you can live without alcohol, you can live without pills, you can live without drugs or whatever. You can't live without eating. Mm-mm. You can't live without food.
You have an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. You can't. It's nothing you can just break.
You can't just break. You have to. It's a relationship. It's like going to couples therapy with a husband and wife or whatever. You have to develop that relationship. Mm-hmm. You have to grow together. And I think a lot of things, you know, just in this conversation, I'm thinking about this. Our relationships and our lifestyles. Look at your relationship with food and how you approach it. What do you eat? Why do you eat? When do you eat? How much? Are you eating till you're full? Yep. Are you not eating enough? Do you eat like a bird? Do you pick at your food? Do you sit down for 2 hours and eat? Like what? Yeah. All these different types of things. I'd be willing to bet that you'd learn a lot about yourself. I don't consciously do this, and I'm probably going to do this now that we've talked about this, but
Journal after you eat.
I can only imagine that it's a direct like correlation
to everything
else in your life.
So somebody that like, coming from like a lot of eating issues, what I learned in YTT, and it might seem that we're going off on a tantrum, but we're really on the personal development topic still.
Yeah.
Is especially now that I count my macros, I meal prep, and I have somebody that organizes my macros for me, and I stepped away from like the emotional and energetic connections between foods because I was focusing more on like how I wanted to look aesthetically. And she was like, well, why don't you journal? Because I'm willing to bet that it's emotional. And I'm a stress eater. Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why like if all I had around me was like fast food places and I had a busy day, like you're willing to bet I'd eat there all day. And not because I like the way it tastes or how I feel afterwards, but because it, to me,
it's just warm and comforting.
It's avoiding stress. So like, yeah. And I think that for me, if I'm...
I think a lot of people are stress eaters.
Oh yeah, and they don't even realize it. Because some people don't think that they're that stressed out, but it's because they're eating. There. Right.
Yeah, we'll always have something.
Totally. And like,
I shouldn't say that for everybody, but
most people,
not everybody does, but yeah.
Yeah, and other people, it's like, you could get really serious about it, right? You could overthink this and say like, like I haven't, why hasn't so-and-so been speaking to me recently? And you're thinking about this while you're eating chips.
You're just crushing Doritos.
You're on your phone, you're scrolling, you're looking at her pictures, and you're just munching chips faster and faster and faster. Your handfuls get bigger.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're avoiding,
you don't even realize
stress eating, you don't realize it. And what does it root down to is I need to have a conversation and I need to take a step back, breathe, and journal before I do anything.
The obesity epidemic in America is crazy right now.
Stress.
And I'm wondering if we're approaching changing it wrong. Which I'm gonna bet that we are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things that you'll hear is, just eat less and work out more is like the big campaign. Eat less, work out more.
Yep.
Don't fucking do that.
Yep.
And
it's the opposite, and they're like, hunter gathering is still a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
it's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm a paleo diet advocate.
Totally.
I'm down with it. But that is not the world we live in right now. I think the biggest thing that we're missing is we're addressing the human body and what the human body reacts well to and doesn't react well to as far as processed foods versus all natural, organic, grass-fed grass and shit.
Bullshit.
And and so we get it. Right. Everybody gets that. But that has nothing to do with the psychological impact that is not being addressed. Think about how many things you see that's reduced fat, gluten free. Everything's fucking gluten free these days.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. And all of that is impacting your psyche to eat something that is probably not that good for you.
Right.
What does reduced fat mean? Reduced fat means it just has 24 grams of fat rather than 25 grams of fat.
And it's all put into some other area. It could be more sodium, more carbs, whatever it is.
And odds are, if whatever you're eating doesn't have just one thing in it, aka apple or beef or I don't know, fucking sweet potato,
right?
If it doesn't have that, then it's probably not in general good for your body,
right?
Am I saying that everybody needs to eat those types of diets? No.
For sure.
But what I am saying is look at the psychological impact that the advertising and the marketing is having on you. It's influencing you to not eat a raw, real sweet potato. It's influencing you to go to this microwave bag of sweet potatoes that has a shelf life 3 times as long as the other one.
Right.
And it's that psychological sort of warfare that people are stuck in that's not getting recognized.
Yeah, and
it's
all
not
goes
getting
back
addressed.
into like tapping into yourself. Like if you're not tapping into yourself and why you are the way that you are, you're never going to reach any of those other goals of fitness, lifestyle, health, anything. Because when it comes to food, when it comes to sitting down in front of your plate, sure, you'll eat the broccoli, you'll eat the chicken or the mushrooms, whatever your dietary preference is. But push comes to shove, you're stressed out, so-and-so has died in your family, You've looked at the scale, nothing's changed, and then you sit down for family dinner and there's pumpkin pie.
You're going in.
You're going in because you've said nothing is working. Life's happening to me, poor me. So I might as well just eat this.
We're programmed to get pleasure out of food.
Yep.
You know,
and not every plate should be pleasure.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's that Paleolithic response that that just ensures the survival of our species.
Yep.
But we don't have to do that anymore. So how come we're not expressing that more?
Yeah, I think that and it comes back to education, right? Like, there's so many people that are like, yeah, grab the fat-free bottle of this and just grab the one that comes in a can. It's easier. And no, we'll just, while we're cooking our meal prep, we'll order rotisserie chicken and mashed potatoes for tonight, you know?
Education is huge.
It's huge. Like, I was not brought up in high school, that it was better for me to, because of my psychological being, to eat minimalistically and journal before and after I'm eating each meal. I don't do that now because I still haven't committed to it because it takes a lot of time.
Sure.
But it's important. Like,
it's important.
The times that I'm eating my best and staying on the track and feeling okay mentally before and after is when I'm assessing that mental stuff, you know?
Yeah. And
some people are forcing themselves through meal prepping and forcing themselves through these nutrition things, and they're actually killing themselves mentally because they hate it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. There's other ways about being healthy and eating better and doing things better for your body that are also better for you mentally. You know? I
think it's the mental aspect, and it would make sense almost, and this might be me being like a bit of a conspiracy theorist, is like we, you know, this as a society, we kind of avoid personal growth, or we avoid mental illness per se, or there's still some sort of like hesitancy to talk about those types of things. We're also more overweight than we've ever been, and we're not discussing the mental aspects of losing weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this guy, the Fit to Fat to Fit guy, he mentally wanted to understand. Physically, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
You know, anybody can lose weight, but mentally is a different battle, but we don't talk about it as much.
Sure.
Interesting. I'm going to think about this shit more because, you know, even like I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying I'm not. Like I didn't really have an aha moment with this until we started talking about it just, 15 minutes ago. But I think it's because I've never had an eating disorder, so I've never really had to address it. But yeah, the psychological ability of a person is that's got to be the deciding factor.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Heavy.
Yeah. And it goes both ways, right? Like everything is always other sides. There's a lot of sides to one thought process or epiphany. There's people that are very disciplined and they're very great and awesome with their goals, that meal prepping works for them because what they've associated to meal prep is success. And what I've had to keep saying to myself about meal prep, and the fact that right now I'm starting a bulk, and as a person that's had an eating disorder, it's terrifying.
Terrifying.
Oh my God, it's terrifying to eat more than
put that winter weight on.
Do, right?
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying to watch your abs go away.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wow, I'm an aesthetic person. Like I love seeing those things, and how can I wrap my head around eating more eventually is going to help me lose better weight and look better when I start to cut again. When I build more muscle.
Isn't that weird?
And so I'm watching with these people that meal prep and eat, and they love it. But what I have to avoid associating with meal prep is I'm going to get fat if I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
because you have more of a long game behind what you're doing.
Like some people don't even think about those things when they look at their plate. Like I look at my plate and I'm like, yep, this just definitely is going to make me huge. Or
gains.
Yes, so
gains.
Yes, like gains. Like this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm crushing it. Like these are my numbers. Like, and we all battle it. But there's, some people that are like, I ate so much yesterday that I'm not going to eat anything today. Still incorrect, but they don't know that. We're not educated enough psychologically or on the mental things about us and other people that we're always relaying information, whether it's true or false. Like you could be giving somebody perfect nutrition information, right? perfectly about what they should be eating, what's better for their body. But if you don't know about that person's samskaras and what they have back in their toolbox, it's like,
are they able to achieve this?
Are they even able to achieve this? Or does this even work for their life?
Yeah.
Or how can we say these things in a way that are heard by them?
Yeah.
Some things don't land.
And what's the practicality?
Right.
Are they a single parent? I always try to compare things. When I come up with ideas like this, or things like this, I always compare it to, well, what about the person who works 3 jobs and is a single parent and has kids,
who does eat on the go because they have
to.
Right.
How can that person make this achievable? And I think it's always doable. There's always some sort of way, and like whatever the individual situation is, that's that. But think about it like this. What if that person, even just something as simple as not stopping at McDonald's, stops at Salad Works, or I don't know, something.
It's like one,
if you're eating on the go, it's just one little thing,
right?
Because even that person has something that's drawing them to one certain type of food. Maybe they live a really stressful lifestyle and they want this comfort food.
Right.
Well, maybe they can, change something in their lifestyle that's gonna help them not eat this food, or vice versa, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think, I think what we're kind of wrapping around to is just the psychological impact that, like, your mind impacts everything. Food, what you do, what you say, how you act, how you believe.
Is mental.
This whole conversation, I think, is very much mental, just at the simplest level. And I think this gets overused a little bit, but you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
I think if you really can find a way to understand that, then it'll make a lot of sense. Yep. It'll make a lot of sense of a lot of things that you otherwise don't really understand.
Yeah.
Why is someone...
Because you could take on that perfect diet, that workout program, whatever it is, but if you don't understand how you work and why you are the way that you are, you could keep failing and create this dark hole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally. I think that's the first step.
Yeah.
Just figuring out who we are. Just get in touch with yourself.
Just write down the 5 things that have pissed you off in 1 week, and then ask yourself why they pissed you off.
Why? That's a good practice. That's a good idea.
That's it.
I'm with it, man.
Love it.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we gotta do this again.
Of course, and then we can break it up into half-hour portions.
Oh yeah, no. Oh shit, man, it has been about 2 hours. This is what happens, man. We said this was gonna happen. I could talk all day.
All day.
Oh, I love it.
It's great.
What kind of social medias or anything? Where can people find you?
They can find me at Katie Poldraski on Instagram. That's KatiePodralski. Or you can just add me on Facebook, but I usually post some stuff on there.
Yeah, right on, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys want to be on the podcast, it's team.movement33@gmail.com. Let me know. And final words. Wrap us up, Katie.
I think that for some final words is personal development can be super scary. Don't be intimidated by it. Just pick one thing. There's so much that we talked about in this little conversation. Pick one thing that you feel like resonates with you and just go after it. Either one of us have a lot of connections, and I think that it's worth it to just go out there and ask somebody for it.
I think that's a good way to do it. Cool. Thank you very much.